The official name of the Capuchin monks is Order of Friars Minor Capuchin. They are a major order within the Catholic Church, and one of the most notable offshoots of the Franciscan order, the Capuchin order, was officially founded in 1520 when a Franciscan friar named Matteo de Bazio claimed that he had received a vision from God, indicating that the Franciscan order was living in a way other than that their founder, Saint Francis of Assisi, had intended. He founded the Capuchin order in an effort to return to the solitude and penance that had been practiced by monks in the past. Naturally, the church sought to suppress these changes, so Matteo and his companions had to flee. They would eventually find refuge with the Camaldolese monks, adopting as their official garb cloaks with hoods, as was customary of hermits in that region of Italy. Eventually, in 1528, the Pope gave Matteo his blessing to move forward with this new order of monks, and so the rules of the order were officially drawn up. The life of a Capuchin monk was to be one of extreme poverty. Observant monks were allowed no possessions, nor were they allowed even to touch money. Instead, they would get what they needed to survive through begging. However, not long after its official founding, the Capuchin order hit a few speed bumps when two of its founders left, including Matteo himself. There was a time when the future of this order was uncertain, but ultimately, they overcame, and the Capuchin order was accepted into mainstream Catholicism. So let's fast forward a little bit and jump over to Palermo. It was late in the 16th century, and the Sicilian chapter of the Capuchin order had run out of space in their graveyard. To make better use of the space they had at their disposal, they decided to build catacombs instead. Once the subterranean chamber had been completed, bodies of dead friars began to pile up down there. Before being laid to rest, they were drained of their fluids, washed with vinegar, and when necessary stuffed straw to help them maintain their shape. From there, they were dressed in their normal friars' robes and laid on clay shelves. Originally, these catacombs were intended only for the deceased member of the Capuchin order, but as time went on, it became a morbid symbol of status to be buried here. People of prominence who intended to be entombed within the catacombs would write sections in their will, explaining how they wished to be dressed, sometimes even specifying the frequency with which their clothes were to be changed. By the 1800s, the catacombs ran on donations from relatives of the deceased. Continued donations would ensure that the deceased remained in a favorable position within the catacombs. If the flow of donations ever stopped, the bodies would actually be moved into less favorable parts of the catacombs tucked away in corners, up on out-of-sight shelves, etc. The last friar to be entombed here was in 1871, but burials of members of the public continued until 1920. Today, the final body count here is about 8,000, plus another 1,252 mummies. The halls of the catacombs are divided into 7 sections: men, women, virgins, children, priests, monks, and professionals. This site had been an object of public fascination for hundreds of years, so was eventually opened to tourists. Now, there are catacombs all over Europe: Paris, Rome, Lisbon. The list goes on. But the Capuchin Catacombs of Palermo are special because the Capuchins here had a particularly heightened sense of respect and obligation to the dead. If you visit the catacombs of Paris or Rome, all you will see is piles of bones, but here you are going to see the full bodies, on display as if part of a presentation. To make matters clear, there was a particular chemical procedure used here to protect the skin of the deceased from the onslaught of bacteria that normally speed up the decomposition process. Couple that with the unusually dry climate of Palermo, and bodies that would have rotted and decomposed within months ended up lasting for hundreds of years. Today, most of the bodies are withering away to dust, but there are a few notable exceptions, and even the less well-preserved specimens are likely to have kept some combination of their skin, teeth, and/or hair. The most famous body down here is that of a 2-year-old little girl named Rosalia Lombardo. Though she died in 1920, she looks completely undisturbed by the sands of time. Her face looks as peaceful as the day she died, which has earned her the nickname Sleeping Beauty.